Turn me up just a little bit. Yeah, it's that man space vibe. Step in the zone, microphone check. Russ and Les got the real intellect. Talk smooth like jazz on a late night set. With a convo deep and the topics connect. From the struggles to the wins, they address it with grace. Drop lines so cool, you can feel the bass. Two kings of the craft, and you know the rest. Kick back, pour a drink, welcome to the space. You go chillin' with Russ and Les. You go chillin' with Russ and Les. You go chillin' with Russ and Les. Hang out, cause now you vibing with nothing but the best. Space forever.
Welcome into another edition of the Man Space Podcast. Now, this is the voice of Russ. And you know what? No jokes today. My guest is my co-host, rather. He's out dealing with some family issues, but that's all right. We're going to roll on anyway. But Man Space Nation, I got to let you guys know it is now official. The book is now available on our website, themanspacepodcast.com. Yes, Russ and Les Freshman Year is now available. You can go out on Amazon, search that, search me, you can find it, but most likely go to our website, check it out. Russ and Les Freshman Year, the high school journeys of Russ and Les, book 1 is now officially available. Now, speaking of books, I do have a guest that's going to keep me company today with Les out. He is the author of the book, The Bystander. Now, we had him back in episode 287 toward the end of last year, and he talked about his book as it was released and out, and man, it just did amazing things. And we said, you know what? Come back when you get your next book out. And he's here to talk about his new book, which is called The Pawn. Man Space Nation, give it up for our guest, Mr. John David.
Hey, how are you?
Hey,
good to see you.
Welcome. Good to see you again.
Appreciate the introduction. I'm sorry that this is the second time that you haven't got to meet Les, but
right.
I hope everything goes smoothly with him, whatever the challenges are. But
yeah,
I will. We soldier on, right? You do what you do.
We will soldier on. So we have now jumped into season 7 of the Man Space since the last time you spoke with us, and I guess you've had a lot going on yourself. So just kind of fill us in on what's been happening with you since the last time we talked.
Yeah, so we spoke, I think it was like your Thanksgiving, like the Thanksgiving leftover edition, I think. We played Thanksgiving leftover
right.
Leftover trivia. So that was back in November, early December, something like that. And so my first book came out in September of last year. And when I wrote it, I actually wrote it in 2022, and then in 2024, I got assigned by my publisher to write a series, and so I kind of immediately started working on book 2. So book 2 is actually done, back before the first book ever came out, and so now the second book's now out. It just came out about a month and a half ago, May of this year, 2026. So I've kind of like rolled from promoting book 1 to prepping for book 2 and getting review copies out to people and all that, and just kind of like went from the holidays and trying to push the first book to rolling into the beginning of the year and promoting the second book while trying to finish the third book, and it all goes whatever. I'm a hamster on a wheel. I'm a squirrel trying to get a nut, and whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I'm hustling.
So give us a high level, because we don't want to give spoilers, but give us a high level of what readers should expect with the new book.
Okay, yeah. So my books. So it's a series. So the characters don't dramatically change. So the book is actually, it's a series. It's called the LeMaster Files. The protagonist is a television reporter whose name is Pete LeMaster, and in the first book, he kind of is sort of thrust into this kind of dramatic situation, and you know, it's you know, the mystery sort of starts there. He's out filming, you know, doing his job, filming a segment for the TV station where he works, and then there's this kind of dramatic incident, and he's, you know, gets thrust into it, and it turns out that everything's not as it seemed, and he ends up, you know, going through the process of trying to solve the mystery. There's some questions arise, and things don't seem quite right, and so that, you know, that story ends, and then you know, kind of, I don't know, 6-8 months, a year change later, something like that, you know, the next he's another, you know, another situation kind of comes to his attention. He gets a phone call from his college buddy, you know, not his high school, you know, freshman year cohort like you guys, but his college buddy calls him, and it turns out that a friend of his family, a guy he's kind of known for a long time, has been basically locked up abroad, and it doesn't feel right. It doesn't make sense what happened to this character, and so Pete is, you know, he kind of jumps on the story, and it turns out this guy who is locked up abroad, he's kind of a wealthy, you know, very good looking guy, and you know, the women in the world start to swoon over the fact that this guy's been locked up abroad, and it becomes a sort of viral sensation, and the television station says, "Oh my gosh, this is good for business, so we're going to start covering it." And so my character Pete goes full bore trying to figure out what happened. How'd this guy end up getting locked up abroad, and what are we going to do about it?
Wow.
Sort of that's book 2. That's sort of how the book 2 goes.
So from the first book to the second book, what is the timeline between the two?
Well, it's not. It's well, because I know you're a sports guy, right? So my first book, it started it opens at the Florida Georgia football game, right? So it happens it's about 8 to 10 days. You know, it's November, right? October, November, is when the football game traditionally is. I mean, after we switch the schedules up, who knows? But it was in my mind, it was, you know, the Florida Georgia game was always in October. It was always like around Halloween. So the second book, because I'm a sports guy, it's actually my protagonist gets his phone call from his friend. He's watching the NCAA basketball tournament, and it's like, it's his ritual, and his phone rings, and his phone's on like do not disturb, and it rings, and so he's like, okay, clearly somebody's trying to reach me because I'm trying to watch the basketball game. And so it's basically this mystery starts sort of in March, you know, March Madness, and it's a couple of weeks, but it's either 6 months later, or it's a year and a half, year and change later, something like that. It's just it's open for interpretation.
Gotcha.
But it's a continuation. It's kind of, you know, it's not immediate, but it's pretty close.
So in your process, and this is one, you know, now having something that I just finished putting out, did you have an end in mind and then work your way backwards, or were you just starting from the beginning and just say, "Oh, this is a nice turn, let me go this way"? And what's your process?
Yeah, so there's really they say there's sort of two types of writers. There's plotters and there's pantsers. And I'm more of a pantser. Plotters are like heavy outliners, and pantsers are more of like wing it kind of guys. So for me, I kind of my joke is I'm a plotter. I'm a pantser who aspires to be a plotter. Like I think the process works better if you outline more, but I'm just not a big outliner. So I generally have an idea of what I think, where I have a general idea of the story, how it starts. That sort of really crystallizes first in my head as I'm like, this would be a really interesting way to start a story. And then I kind of have an idea, okay, I got a few points I'm going to try to put into this, and I have a pretty good idea of how it's going to end. And that's what I have. And it might be a whatever, a couple pages of notes or something, a couple pages of outline. That's it. And to me, excuse me, kind of getting over a cold, I got a little something going here, but a lot of the twists and turns and stuff, they sort of hit me during the process. And that's like, because I'm always thinking about the story. So I'm always, and because I write when I get an opportunity to write. I'm not disciplined enough to like get up at 5 o'clock in the morning every morning. I'm not a morning guy anyway. So, but I'm always thinking about it. And so sometimes I'm just like, sometimes I was just like walking my dog in the morning and I'm thinking, okay, I want to try to work on this next section. And I go, oh, we could do this. We could go this way. Wouldn't that be interesting? I just got a good one. And so like, it's that they sort of hit me, sort of like, as ideas hit people in the shower, as they just sort of hit me as I'm doing. So that's part of the magic happens in that process, I guess.
Yeah. I've never thought about it. I think I'm more of a plotter, because I sat there with this book and I outlined everything, right? I already have the outline for the next book already down. But as I put the outline out and then I would walk around and just give myself voice notes. And all right, this is what I want. And everything was voice notes, and then trying to translate those voice notes and then expand it out. But and I had whole chapters where I just completely just scrapped the chapters. Has that ever happened to you where you just sat there and just put it down and said, oh, this is great, and then you go back and reread it and it's like, this sucks?
Yeah. Well, I mean, sucks. I mean, come on. I don't think it sucks. No, it doesn't work. I mean, for me, it doesn't work. I mean, I've done that. I've done things. Sometimes it's just repetitive. Like I've done something. I'm like, I kind of already covered that. And I did have, I had an idea for, and this is probably about as much plotting as I do, I had an idea for what they call a locked door mystery. And if you saw like Knives Out is like a locked door mystery, and it's usually the classic one is Agatha Christie, and then there were none. And basically what in that story, there's a group of people, they're stuck on this island, right near a port, but it storms for 7 days, and people are dying at this place on this island, but they can't, the authorities can't get to them, and the people are getting picked off, boom, boom, boom. And so they call it, that's called a locked door. And so I had an idea for a locked door mystery. And I thought that my setup was great. Like I had a personal experience which sort of inspired it, and I was like, I think the setup's great. And then I was like going, but after I started working on it and I was outlining it, I was like, and I wrote probably the first chapter I wrote, and then I was like, but wait, where am I going to go with this? And okay, someone's going to die, and I'm like, okay, who's going to die? How are they going to die? And then how are we going to get them? And then the other thing is with all of the technology that's out there, that whole locked door thing is much harder to pull off now, because like I was on a few years ago, I was on an island in the Bahamas, which inspired me for this locked door thing, right? That was more or less like nothing on it. There was like some guy built a house there, and the guy I went there to go with the guy who was thinking about putting a hotel there.
Right.
They had Starlink. Like I had high speed internet. I had that. It was like the island runs off a generator, right? There's no there's no like traditional infrastructure, but I had like 50 Mbps download, right? Like so like these days it's like I was like, that was part of the problem, was like, I'm like, how do you do this sort of not out of communication thing now? Because that's it's much harder to be, it's harder to be out of communication. So anyway, so that one was one where I had the idea, and I was just like, I'm just not sure how to land the plane, so I scrapped that idea, and I'm working on something completely different now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's one of my biggest struggles, because I have like tons of books and things that I've just wrote notes in to start, and it's like I just don't like where this is going. And I have other manuscripts I've completely completed, and I'm just like, this does not work for me, and I don't think that this is good enough. So let me, and then just shifted in a completely different direction with the high school years, and putting that one together. We took stories that Les and I had shared over the years,
right?
And then we had a lot of stories from a lot of our guests, and so I'm like, oh, this would be great. So I just twisted it and put it all to me and him in a high school environment, and made it up. And it's like, people that know us that have looked at it, it's like, oh, is this person, or is this? No, it's not. It's not.
That's a whole other conversation, is like how much of it is personal and how much is not. And I tell people all the time, my books, it's a work of fiction. It's all made up. Yes, there are some people inspired some people, but it's just, it's really that they're sort of inspired them. They're not, it's not real, it's not a retelling of something. It's all made up. So I completely get where you're coming from. But here's the thing, if you think about this. So for example, just a quick question. So Mark Twain, right? You probably read Huckleberry Finn, right?
Finn, yeah.
We all had to read Huckleberry Finn. He wrote a lot of other stuff, Did you read any of his other stuff?
No. Absolutely not.
Right. And so there's so many of those things. So Dickens, right? So Dickens wrote A Tale of Two Cities, and maybe you read David Copperfield, and maybe you read a couple of other like stories. But I mean, he wrote, he's written, he has a massive library, and the same thing, Sherlock Holmes, maybe you read more of those. But everything that, so what I'm getting at is everything that every author writes isn't necessarily great, So it's like, and again, those are extreme examples, but clearly that you have, if you're writing a series, and these days, you have authors who are writing 10-book series and 12-book series, or they're writing 3 or 4 different ones, and everything, and the ones who are really good, everything they write is good, but does it really have like staying power, lasting power, or that every time you read every book by this author, you end it going, God, that person's great, so that doesn't always happen. So
right.
So, but it's fun to try.
Very true. Very true. So I want to get your opinion. I'm going to get us out of books for just a moment.
Okay.
And I promise you, we'll get back into it after the break. But before we go into break, I want to ask you this question, because last week, Les and I, on the season premiere episode, we got into this discussion, and I want to get your opinion on this one.
Okay.
All right.
Are you going to tell me, or are you going to surprise me,
yes.
Or should I guess?
No. I'm gonna give it to you. So we got into the discussion of men wearing these man purses.
I got you, man. I'm down.
All right.
I'll go. I can go. Do you want to wind me up now? You want to go to your break?
Yes. Let's go for it.
Whatever you want to go.
So where do you stand? Would you ever wear one? Even say your daughter says, Dad, here, I think you would love this for Father's Day. Would you wear it?
Never.
Wear it out.
Never. Not indoors, not out. Not on a plane, not on a train. Listen, what else do we have, Russ, if we're not allowed to, like, if we're not allowed to be sort of like old codger stereotypical men, right?
Yeah,
what else do we have? Like, that's really one of the few things we've got left, is that we can be who we want to be. And like, I'm not carrying a purse, right? Like it's not happening. It's just it's like it's
Ah,
not. And I get it. I've seen it. I've seen guys who carry one. I had a guy who used to work for me had a
mhm,
had a website that he was like selling like men's stuff, and he called
mhm.
his website was, it might still be out there. His website was called like the man's bag. It was like his whole inside joke. But I'm like, yeah, that to me is, it's a sign of giving up, you know? I mean, I think the only way would be if like it had like, the medicine that's keeping you alive in it. Like,
Right,
you know what I mean? If I had to like carry
right,
something
yeah,
like that. But yeah,
yeah,
I've like, there's a few things that I say, and I have had these conversations with my friends, and I
mhm,
have no problem telling you the same thing. There's
mhm.
certain points of like, there's signs of signs where men are giving up. I mean, I like, I
Yes.
think it's one of them is those like newsboy hats.
Mm,
Like I don't get
yes.
they get the newsboy hat. That's me. I mean, and I have to wear a hat all the time outside
Right.
because I'm bald and I'm prone to like
Yeah.
the skin cancer thing. So I have to wear a hat all
Mhm.
the time. But there's no way I'm wearing a newsboy cap. Um,
Right.
Bird watching. If you're doing bird watching, you're
No.
old. You're old. You're like, that's sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, like, don't do it. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
And my
Right.
other one, which is quite controversial, is pickleball. I don't get pickleball. Like, I don't understand pickleball. And we can throw in the man purse, but I think if my daughter gave me one of those things, I would say, are you even aware of, like, have you been not paying attention? Like, I think she would be she would be aghast at herself if she did that, if she got me one of those. So, but again,
Yeah.
if it's holding if you need a bag to hold your
Mhm.
insulin, or your or the shot that will keep you, because
Right.
you're prone to getting, in other words, if you just whatever, if somebody just like waves a peanut in front of you and it can close up your
Yeah.
throat,
Yeah.
like, okay,
Oh, yeah.
maybe you can have maybe you can do that, but why not have it be a, like a saddlebag satchel? Like, why does it have to be like a
Yes.
purse?
Right. And so that's where we were having the discussion because I'm like, messenger bags and those saddle bags, those are two completely different things.
Sure,
Those are a
sure.
little bit more manly. Like I used to carry a messenger bag, but when I see these guys, and I saw this guy last week, and he comes up to the gas station, music just blasting everywhere, and then he gets out of his car and has a man purse, and it's not the there's one that's I think it's called a sling bag, so it's a decent size, right? You can actually put stuff in it. No, this was smaller, where the only thing you could probably get into it was a wallet and maybe a few keys. I'm like, no, absolutely not. Every bit of
Sure.
credibility this guy
Listen,
had is gone.
I'm with you. I'm completely with you. I like I said, unless it's like, I mean, I mean, it's called the Man Space podcast. I mean,
All right.
what's in there? His blush and his lipstick? Give me a break. Come on. Like, what's in
Right.
there? It's
Right.
like, I don't, it's
Right.
like the point of it is, you say, okay, I mean, like I said, unless if it's okay, so maybe some type of slingy type thing if you're like traveling, and you want to make
Mm.
sure your passport is someplace where it won't get pickpocketed, like,
Right.
but
Right.
even then it's like why not get the belt thing, or
Yes.
whatever. It's sort of like, it's the yeah, I'm just
That
like, I'm not there. I'm like, I'm just, it's to me it's that just, to me, that just says I surrender.
would you say the fanny pack is that in that category too of surrendering?
Yeah, I think so. I think the fanny pack's had its day. I mean, you don't really see them very much, I
No.
think if you're,
No.
I think if you're, I mean, maybe the only time when it would make a whole much sense is if you're like, you whatever, you got 3 kids and they're all under 8, and maybe
Yeah.
you got a fanny
Yeah.
pack because you've got to, you're always carrying a
Uh,
person.
I'm like, if you're not at a game tossing peanuts and beers, you don't need a fanny pack,
Yeah, I don't
'cause it
see
that's
I
where you
don't
see them,
yeah, I don't see it. Again, and again, if you got kids too, you got the bag. And I mean,
Right.
it's different. I mean, listen, I carried, I slung, my wife's what's the colorful women's bag line. Can't think of the name of it. Was really popular probably 10, 15 years ago.
The Coach.
Can't think of the name of it. No. It's another. It's something else. Very, very colorful, floral. Paisley-ish things.
Yeah.
Whatever. It'll hit me as soon as we finish this interview. And I carried her like that because it had all the baby crap in it. It's like,
right.
like that. That's different.
That's a little different.
That's a necessity. The man part is a choice. That is a choice, and it's a bad choice, in my opinion.
My wife has one of these larger Michael Kors bags that looks like a purse to me, but she uses it to carry her laptop and stuff in. And she's like, "Hey, can you carry this bag?" And we were going to the hotel and trying to do everything in one trip. And she's like, "Can you carry that bag?" I'm like, "Can we lock it up in the truck?" And she's mad with me because I strap it onto the back of the suitcase so I don't have to carry it, and I'm just kind of dragging it. And of course, it falls where it's too low, so the whole bottom of the thing is like scraped up because I drug it across the sidewalk. But yeah. Bad husband.
It hit me. So Vera Bradley. So like my wife had like a Vera Bradley bag, and so I'm like got the Vera Bradley backpack slung over my shoulder. It's also we also have that issue when you get into the hotel of like cart or no cart. We can do it without a cart, and typically you can't. Whenever you need a cart, you can't find one. So
right.
That same thing.
Well, let's take a quick break. We'll be back with more of the Man Space Podcast. We are back with our special guest, Mr. John David. So let's jump back into your book here. So you have what is going to be 3 parts, 4 parts in this series? How many?
So right now it's a 3-book series. I actually wrote the 3rd book. I'm finished. Third book is finished. Well, finished so far, meaning that I turned it in. I got back, rewrites, requests, and stuff from the publisher, which I'm working on now. And that book's the 3rd book coming out in March of 27. And then we've had sort of preliminary discussions about adding books to the series, but that hasn't been finalized yet. So
do you ever think about taking like anything as into a spinoff or do like a prequel story or something like that?
It would be interesting to do it. I'm not sure. Like, I think I haven't like I think if my publisher, like when I first signed with the publisher, so I'm not speaking out of school or anything, they said, well, they asked me if I would write a 5-book series, and I was just too intimidated to do that. I got 1 book. I wrote 1 book, and I had a pretty good idea for the 2nd book, which became The Pawn. And I'm like, I can come up with a 3rd one. Like I can come up with a 3rd one. And now I'm pretty confident that I could come up with a 4th and a 5th that I could continue the story arc. And the question just becomes, does that become, does the market ask for more? Because you look at some of these folks some of these guys write series, guys, gals, whatever, write series, and there's 8 books, 9 books, 12 books. You look at Mick Herron, who wrote Slow Horses. I think he's up to, I think it's 8. I think it's 8 or 9 actually right now of the Slow Horses books. And there's a lady that I really like. Her name is Joy Ellis, and she's British, and she writes about these like police procedural type of books, and she has like like 3 or 4 different series that are all set in a certain part of the UK, and I haven't read all of them, because she's written like 30 books or
Right.
something.
Right.
But there's one series that I've kind of really got my teeth into, and I think I've read 7 of them, and the 8th one came out in the past 6 months or so. I haven't read it yet, but she has like 3 different series that have like 6 or 7 books in them. So that's a big trend of like the
Right.
longer series, and some of them sort of feel like spin-offs,
Right.
or prequel-y type stuff. And it would be an interesting challenge to do that.
Or maybe even put something with, I guess into, for lack of a better term, into the same universe, but have a different characters version of it in the same universe.
Yeah, I think there's all different types of options. I mean, there's all different types of things, because it's really, where you want to go as an author, and where the market sits. So
Right.
one idea that I've been playing around with is a standalone, which is sort of a mystery. It's a mystery, but it's more it's a bigger concept than kind of what I've written so far.
Right.
And it's probably closer to like a Tom Clancy type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's a step away. It's a step away from what I've already written, and it's just but I have an idea which I think is pretty good, and that's like, to me, that's the driver. Like, it's like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things, like, if I this becomes too close to work, if I have to like fall into, if I have to, if somebody says, okay, guess what? Now I want 9 more that are just like it. I'm like, oh, wait a second. I'm not sure. I'm not sure my creativity, that's sort of like, frightens my creativity.
So how do you keep the interest and spark within the books? What is, are you looking to have somebody grasp onto every single word and fall into the book, or you want them to kind of just love the character and say, all right, this is a character, I'm going to follow along with the character no matter
I mean, for me, it's always, I'm trying to have a story that's interesting, that's twisty, and that kind of cooks along, that people want to turn the page. Like, that's really what I really focus on. I want to write a story that kind of moves. That's the biggest thing for me, is like, I want this to go move, and like I said, I sort of have an idea where it's going to go, and I have a pretty good idea how it's going to end. That ending will almost always change in some way. Because sometimes, and if you like, I've listened to a lot of like author oriented podcasts, and there's a lady who I've been on her show. Her name is Liz McGavro, and Liz, she's written a bunch of mystery series, and she's said several times that like she's gotten like 95% of the way through her book and realized she had the wrong murderer. Which I think is great, which is, that to me is just absolutely great. And and she's an incredibly like open, person about her writing. And and so like like, you don't know like exactly where like what's going to happen next, but I think it's I think that for me, what keeps it, I'm always, like I said, I'm always trying to keep the story moving, and you try to like, you try to end the chapter with something that someone's going to go, oh, wait, what happened? Now I got to see what's going to happen next, try to end, keep people turning the page. And that's what I sort of strive for more than anything. Because of that. And where I probably struggle is in the sort of overall character development. Is this character growing? Is Tony Soprano, learning that he doesn't have to kill people? That whole guys growing, through the process. And I actually had a conversation with my editor like a month ago, and I was like, and she was giving me these notes on what she thinks the directions I should go. Nothing, just general. And I got on a call with her, and I said, does he have to grow? Does he have to does my character have to grow? Does there have to be a lesson all the time?
Right.
Can't we just have can't he just solve it? And she kind of explained to me why he has to grow a little
Right.
bit. He's got
Just a
your
little bit,
audience
yeah,
wants him to grow a little bit. And I'm like, okay, but he doesn't have
yeah,
to grow a lot,
yeah.
right? And she's like, no, he doesn't have to grow a lot. But he's got to grow a little bit. Okay, all right.
Just a little bit.
He's gonna grow a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
It's kind of a double-edged sword when you start to grow the character, because I don't know if you've ever watched the series Dexter.
It's one I haven't. I probably should. It's because it's like set in Miami, right? So
Yes,
set in
I should
Miami. I
At
should know
least
all about it.
the first 7 seasons or so, right?
I'm
But
not a big serial killer guy. I've read a ton of serial killer stuff, and most of the time it just creeps me out. So I'm not a big serial killer guy.
This one isn't that. My wife was that way with this one too. I'm like, you gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. But it was one of those, as the character starts to grow and grow more, you almost start to fall out of love with the character, because it's not the same charm of the character that brought you in. So it's kind of that double-edged sword. If you go too far with the character, it's like, I think I'm gonna tune out.
Yeah. Well, my conversation was James Bond hasn't really grown very much since Goldfinger, or whichever first one I watched. He's
just switched bodies, but
he's a little, he's he's a little bit less of a womanizer, maybe he's not as blatant, but I mean, he's not driving an electric car or anything. He's not grown, he's not and so this James Bond doesn't really grow. Okay, I got married, all right, okay, good, whatever. But it's not this. It's so, and there's plenty of books, plenty of stories out there where that I've read, and I like the books, and I'm like, I don't think this guy's really growing very much. So whatever. That's why we got lots of books out there.
Right. Who is some of your early influences?
From a writing perspective, authors and stuff. So one of the big ones for me was so I used to read a lot when I was single. I read a lot of, I kind of discovered mystery novels kind of just as I was getting out of college, and I started, and I was out of college, I started my first job reading a lot of mystery novels, and one that really grabbed me was The Firm by John Grisham. And it was just one of those books that really, I think it probably really introduced me to the thriller, genre. And so I haven't read it recently, but I mean, I've read it a couple of times. And The Pelican Brief, same thing, read it a couple of times. I haven't read everything he's ever written, because he writes a book every year, but that sort of, intricate conspiracy theory type of storytelling is like that. I like that a lot. Same thing. Tom Clancy, similar thing. Like when again, I haven't read all of his stuff, and all the stuff his post, that's been created under his brand since he passed. But I mean, Hunt for Red October, and it's just a great book, and Patriot Games, all the ones that became movies were all, I read all those books, and they were all really good. And they again, it's just that sort of storytelling, bring interesting characters, interesting conflict, conspiracy type stuff. That's kind of where I fall.
It's funny that you bring up Tom Clancy, because when I was really trying to get into books as an adult, I tried to start with him. And I would have flights where I would go from, Charlotte over to California. And so it's, 4 hours over, 4.5 back, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I would grab a book and I would try to read. And I could not get through like 3 pages before I was knocked out asleep. And I have 3 Tom Clancy books around here somewhere. I've never finished them. And I bought these books, pretty much 20 years ago, and I still have not finished any one of those books. It's every time I start, I fall asleep, and I'm just like, what in the world? but his books were just more of a struggle for me for some strange reason. I could not finish them.
It's really interesting because in the world of when in the world of publishing, particularly when you're trying to find an agent, you're first starting out, like where I am, because I don't have an agent. I have a publisher, but I don't have an agent. So I tried to I put myself out there to try to find an agent, and I wasn't successful. And you think about that the publishers and the agents, what they're doing is they're getting hundreds of manuscripts a month to look at. They're getting a pitch, and some of them say, send me the pitch and the first 5 pages. Some say the first 10 pages. Some say the first, two or three chapters. So they're trying to like lock you. They're basically saying, we want to understand, we want to be compelled by this story, and we want you to show that you have the capability to write, and we want to see the first 2 or 3 chapters or whatever. And with to me, what the implied contract is that if I like it, I'm going to want to read more. Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you read books by guys like, Tom Clancy, and, once he's, he writes Hunt for Red October, and it's this huge, massive hit. He doesn't have that same pressure to write the first 2 chapters that lock you into the story. He has the
name cachet.
He has the ability to say, no, I'm gonna do a slow burn on this. I'm gonna do this how I want to tell the story, which is I'm not gonna hit anybody over the head with this inciting incident right in the first 3 sentences so that you can't turn away. I'm gonna slowly build up, and I'm gonna take you on this road, and you're gonna think you know where you're going, and then I'm gonna move it away from you. But that might be 100 pages in. And so it's a luxury that you have once you're sort of an established author. That you don't have when you're I don't think you have when you're a debut author. And so it's an interesting thing. Because I've seen it, because I'm like sometimes I read books they're very good. And again, in my genre, so I'm like I'm in the thriller genre, so I don't write there's a different compact between agents and writers who write like literary fiction, things like that. But in the thriller world, I would sometimes you get these thriller books that what's I'm 50 pages in. What's this book about? Where's the mystery? Where's the dead body? Where's the question mark here? If somebody pitched this to an agent today, it wouldn't get picked up because I'm 30 pages in. I don't know what this book's about. So it's a luxury, I guess, that you have once you're established. But that could put you to sleep on a transatlantic flight, clearly.
Absolutely. So for you as a younger, let's wind back to you, say 12, 13. Would you have imagined at that point that this would be your life, writing books?
Well, I mean, I'm still a PR guy, I'm still a PR guy and a crisis communications guy and all that stuff. That's my main job. This is really my side hustle. I think the biggest, most intimidating thing was just like how much it takes to write a full length novel. I think that was probably, it's just this, to me, it's like a huge mental barrier. And I think that what helped me was I wrote a nonfiction book, and I realized after when I published my nonfiction book, it was like 10 years ago now. Was like, but I get the fiction world a little better now that I'm in the nonfiction world.
Right.
I was a little bit less intimidated by it, but it's still intimidating. The idea of writing a full length, 70, 80, 90,000 word. And, there's guys who write much, much longer books. Guys, gals, whatever, authors write much longer books than mine. My books are pretty short by comparison. And like it's less intimidating, you know, as I got older, it was less intimidating. But I was one of those guys who I always thought, yeah, I would like to try to write a novel. And I actually started and tried when I was in my 20s. I had an idea, and it was another one of those things that the premise was pretty good, but I just didn't really have the ability to do it. Like, I don't think I didn't have enough experience as a person or enough experience as a writer. And I, you know, and as a PR consultant, you know, I write every day, you know, so I write, you know, I've written just, you know, millions of, you know, just whatever, thousands of news releases and dozens and dozens and dozens of articles and speeches. And I've just written so much that's really what, and I've, you know, blog posts and articles and all those things, and in a business book. So like, I have more experience as a writer, and that's, I've built up that ability, which I didn't have in my 20s, you know, although I had a good idea in my 20s, but it was, I didn't have the ability to do it.
Yeah. What is your thoughts about people using AI? Because now you have the whole thing with the first AI actress that's out there, and you see books being thrown out here left and right every other day, and a lot of people are using AI to write the books. What is your thoughts when it comes to that?
Well, I think that, okay, I guess there's a couple things. First, one is that I guess there's different types of AI, right? So if you're using, like, you know, Grammarly to check your spelling and stuff, I can't see how anybody could be upset about that. Right. Like, I can't see how anybody could be upset about that. But I mean, but I guess maybe people are, because, you know, you still have folks out there who claim to, you know, write their manuscripts in longhand, right?
Right.
And they eschew word processing, you know. You know, so am I. You know, are they better than me because they write at longhand and I use a computer? I think the technology is great. I think that that it's very it can be very helpful, but it's not creative. It's not part of the creative process. Like, I mean, in other words, it's so. It's one of those things. Like, I guess you could go into ChatGTP and say, hey, you know, here's, you know, write a opening chapter of a book about, you know, two lifelong, like, high school friends who get stuck on an island, and, you know, they're, you know, and then, you know, whatever, they're trying to figure out, you know, where the lost gold is, you know, and I guess AI could write that for you. You know, so I mean, to me, I think that I get where everybody's sort of up in arms about that kind of thing, but if you're using it to help you proofread, or using it to help you check your grammar, I think that's, you know, that's sort of a natural evolution, just like spell checking and everything else. And I'm not sure what, you know, I think that the bigger issue, frankly, with this, Russ, is that the publishing world is pissed off, and, like, rightfully pissed off, that their work was used to train all these AI, all this AI software. And there's been this big settlement and everything else, but it was basically done after the fact. And so a bunch of people, you know, wrote books, and those books were fed into the computers, and it was used to train AI to write. And now it's, you know, it's gotten rid of, it's eliminated jobs in the copywriting world, because AI can do basic copywriting better than most people. And so I think that there's a residual there, that they're like, that the publishing community is just, they're enraged that this software was trained using their work without their permission. So I think that's a big part of it, you know, because I don't see how, honestly. So I took the first chapter of my second book, and I put it into ChatGTP, and I said, was this written with AI? and it analyzed my work, which was not written with AI,
Mhm.
and it said it can't say conclusively that it was written with AI, but there are sections of this that do
Right.
have cues that are not typically seen in non-AI writing. It's something like something like that, and it was like it flagged something that I say all the time. Like
Right.
I have to go back and check it, but like I wrote these words and ChatGPT was suggested that perhaps someone else wrote those words. And I was like, yeah, that's
Wow.
all me, man. That's my brain.
Wow.
That's how it works. So I don't think I don't see number one. I think the market will decide because
Mhm.
you probably have seen this because you're in tech. You know, sometimes you get like I get emails from people that are clearly written by AI, and
Yep.
it's like the spammers they've like embraced
Mhm.
AI, and
Yep.
it's just all it is it's just more detailed bullshit.
Yep.
Sorry,
Yep.
for the language, but it's just that now it's a little bit better piece of spam, right?
Mhm.
But it's still spam, and I think
Right.
that you and I get emails all the time from people. They're super long, they're clearly written by AI, and I don't even need to check it because I just
Yeah.
know I know the author, and I'm like the author.
Mhm.
2 years ago the author wasn't writing like that. Now they're writing a certain way. Or going, look. So
Right.
I think it's one of those things that's going to sort of move through,
Mhm.
um, because the market's going to decide. The market's going to go,
Yeah.
oh, because I don't think any people who are reading books are going, oh, like this is AI. I'm not going to read it. Like, in other words,
Right.
they're going to read it and go, this story's good or this story's bad. And if they don't like
Right.
it, they're not going to do it. They're not going to use it.
Yeah.
So
There are apps out there now that you can like take a picture of the book or you scan the barcode of the book and it will pull the whole book up on your phone for you and then read it to you.
yeah, I don't know. Is that a subscription based thing? Is the publishing
Yeah, I
world
think
in
it
on
is,
that?
it is
Yeah, yeah,
subscription based, but still,
yeah.
I mean, just seeing that, I mean, I think something like that may even take a lot of these bookstores down, and only place you're going to be able to sell your books is going to be on Amazon pretty soon because
Well, well, that's a good question. It's another point. I mean, so believe it or not, if you look Barnes and Noble is expanding right now.
yeah,
Um,
really.
yeah, they're expanding. They're in the past. They've built more bookstores like in the past year or so than
Mhm.
they have in several years prior. One of the reasons why, believe it or not, is TikTok.
Huh.
TikTok
Okay.
and Book Talk, like which is the books on TikTok and the people,
Mhm.
is that if you go into like um yeah, near you, there's like Books a Million and stuff. If you go
Yeah.
into the nearby Books a Million, for example, you might last time I went to Books a Million, I think because they don't have them where I am, but they're up there because I went with my daughter up in Columbia, and
Mhm.
there was a whole book talk section. They're all like, these are
Yeah.
the books that are popular on TikTok. And Barnes and Noble has basically said it, like we're getting the fact that online Instagram, you know Bookstagram, like the
Yeah.
Instagram folks, that people are being introduced to more books through social media, and that's actually driving the brick and mortar stores.
Interesting.
So the now the audiobooks are a growth segment, but there's
Mhm.
still people who really like, and I've found this myself. Like I have, when it's time for me to start promoting my books, there's reviewers out there, who will read advanced copies and stuff, and it's a piece of cake. I mean, there's a little software that I subscribe to where I load my book up like one time to it, and then I can send you, put your
Right.
name on a thing. Create this little campaign. I send you an email. Hey Russ, here's John's book. Here's where you
Yeah.
download it. It sends you a reminder in 2 weeks. Have you read the book? It tells you how to put it on your
Yeah.
Kindle, and then did you write your review yet? The whole bit.
Yeah.
And I have, and that's great. I mean, and like it's a piece of software costs it's like $8 a month or something, and I
Mm.
could send 1,000 books out if I wanted to. But I still get reviewers who go, yeah, I don't read on the Kindle. I read on the, I want a hard copy. And so, I trudge to the postal service and, play the lottery of, will it get there? And so I think that's changing. And then audio is big too. Audio is a big one that people are switching. A lot of people like audio because they can do it while they're doing something else. So they can do it while they're exercising. They can do it while they're folding the laundry. They can do it while they're commuting. There's a lot of audio. Audio is a growth market.
That's the direction that I've moved more. I used to be one that was always a physical copy of the book because I like to make notes in the book. It's like, okay, this was important. Let me highlight this point, and it's not just, with educational style books. It was any book that I would read, I would like to make notes because I'm like, okay, I think this is going to be something important, especially if it was a mystery, something I can come back to and say, yep, see, there it is right there.
That's funny. It's funny.
So I would do that, but it's like now I've gone, give me an audio book and I'm good because I can go out there while I'm cutting grass and listen to a book and things, it usually when we're driving, because I don't really like flying anymore. So we drive places and I'm listening to a book while we're driving.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think it's I'm completely in agreement with you. I had I just did a road trip for the summer, and I was driving and I had AirPod in one ear, listening to the audiobook. My open ear was next to my wife as I was driving, but she was doing her own thing, and I was like listening to an audiobook while I'm driving, and I listen to them when I exercise in the morning, and then I also have a Kindle, and I'm I guess to show my age, I'm 58, and I've had contact lenses and I've worn glasses since I was like in the 4th grade, and I've had contact lenses for the past 30 years. And it's tricky for me, like to read with a physical book unless the lighting is just right, And so the Kindle that's backlit works great for me. So I can so at any given time, I have a couple books I'm looking at. I'm working on my Kindle. I'm listening to audiobooks, and so I'm reading reading a couple things at the same time, and at the same time I'm writing them. So it's everybody has, and there's another thing which is theoretically really good for authors, is they call the immersive read. Have you heard this?
No.
So that you read the book while you're listening to the audiobook.
Really?
So they call it an immersive read. So you have the physical copy of the book, and you play the audiobook, and you basically read while it's you follow along while it's basically being read to you as the audiobook. They call that an immersive read. And I'm a big fan of that, because that's buying my book twice. So I'm a big fan of
that. I bet. But John, we're running low on time. So tell us, how can we find the new book? Tell us about your website, your social media handles.
Absolutely. So my website is byjohndavid.com. And so has links to my books and reviews and news and all that kind of stuff. My books, my debut novel is called The Bystander. The second book in the series is called The Pawn. They're available, everywhere books are sold online. So Amazon, Barnes and Noble, bookshop.org. You can buy them online. You should be able to order them through your local bookstore if you wanted to. They're not going to be on the shelf. You're not going to be able to walk into your local Barnes and Noble or Books A Million or local bookshop. They're probably not stocking my books. But if you talk to the bookseller and tell them you want to order one, then typically you can. And then obviously on the online world. So download Kindle and Nothing Flat if you want.
Awesome. Awesome. So one last thing for you, and it is called The Last Word.
And now, the last word.
So what would you say to an aspiring writer to encourage them to keep going?
So here's my thing. So this is a great question. I've had this question before. Is that if you believe in your work, then you keep going, right? If you believe in what you're writing, if you believe it, you believe it's good. You're confident about your writing, keep going. I wrote my first manuscript. So the Bystander was my first novel, first piece of fiction I ever wrote. Aside from probably a short story in high school. Okay, so the first
Yeah.
piece of fiction I ever wrote. It took me 6 months to write it, to get it to a point where I felt like I could pitch it into the world.
Yeah.
And then it took me 18 months to find a publisher. And
Wow.
so 3 times as long to find a publisher as it did to write the manuscript. So it's kind of like, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. It's like, if you believe in your work, keep pushing, keep striving. And because it's possible, because I did it.
Yeah. That is so awesome. John, thank you so much for spending time with us here on the Man Space. You know what? When the next book comes out, you know how to reach me.
Absolutely.
Send me a
That's
message.
great.
We'll
I appreciate
get
that.
back on and we'll promote the next one as well.
We just have to
Yes,
make
yes,
sure that Les is busy, because
right. It just seems like that's the trend. He knows you're coming, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Nope, I'm not going to be
Yeah.
on there with that guy."
How we feeling?
Make sure.
The other last word. How are we
Yeah.
feeling about football season? You feeling you
Ooh,
confident?
this is
Feel good?
no, I'm not confident.
Really?
No, I'm not good. I am a nervous wreck about this
Coach
season.
Coach Hoodie's got you nervous.
Yes, the black hoodie. He's got me nervous this season.
We have nowhere to go but up, baby. So we're
Yeah,
it's for my Gators. We are at the
yeah.
there's can't get any worse, and so we
Right.
got optimism on our side. So
Is optimism 8 wins? I mean,
I listen. Okay, so sadly, and I'm sorry we're going over here.
yeah, no, it's
Sadly,
fine.
I have a well rehearsed speech on this, because
Mm,
I started this is the speech that I started, after Steve Spurrier left, and now
mhm.
I've given this speech now 7 times or something. Is season 1, simple goal: don't embarrass us, right?
Right.
Don't embarrass me. I don't want to be embarrassed. And we need to have like one win where we ruin one of our rivals' year. So if
Mm,
we can if we can ruin Tennessee's season, if we can
right.
ruin Georgia's season, right? If
Yeah.
we have one win like that we can hang our hat on, then I'm fine. Then the bar goes dramatically up in year 2. So but
Yeah.
just be entertaining, bring some energy, because we had Coach no energy for a few years. So Florida wants, we need energy, and don't
Mhm.
embarrass me, and let's just give me one thing I can be really happy about on a Sunday
Yeah.
morning. Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's
Yeah.
they
You know
hate us again. They really hate us again. I'm good with that. So
I like our coach, to be honest. I really do. I'm one of the few Bama fans that really like him.
I think he's really good. I think he's really good. So,
My only
but
problem with
you guys are never really happy. You're never really
well, we've been spoiled for so long. We've been spoiled for so long, and now if there was another coach that was put in between him, if
Sure.
he had a different coach and then he came in, and it's like, okay, you're changing the culture, you're changing the culture, you're changing the culture. Great. Because whatever this last coach had didn't work. Now you got to change the culture to get it back and going. It'll be different. But we had a winning culture, and he came in and started changing the culture. And it's like, oh, this doesn't look good. And when things don't work and you're changing what was working, you know.
Yeah, I get it. I get it, man. I get it. Yeah, no, listen, I get it.
Saban told a story about his first season, and they had just lost to like Southern Miss in his first season at Bama. And he stops at a like gas station or something like that, and the attendant is talking to him and doesn't know that it's him. And he's like, "Man, this is going to be a rough year for us. I don't know about that Saban guy."
Yeah. Well,
But,
I have a line that I've used about a million times, is that like I say, whenever, if you you never complain about a loss. I mean, about a win. There's no such thing as a bad win. When you start complaining about wins, then you're an Alabama fan.
That is true. That is true. Because we've been so spoiled. That's all we can do is complain about how we win.
Suffers. Nobody suffers winning. Like, that's always a funny one. Russ, thank you so much for this opportunity. It was great talking to you, and I hope everything goes well with your co-host there. Please give him my best.
Thank you. And Manspace Nation, we appreciate you guys. Check out the books. Check out his website, buyjohndavid.com. Check out the Pawn. Matter of fact, if you don't have the Bystander, get the Bystander too, and then read the Pawn, and just go out there and support. Once again, appreciate you, John. We look forward to having you on again soon.
Thanks, sir. Be well.
Thank you. As we do each week, we like to close the show with just a little bit of inspiration. The world celebrates what people can see: the promotion, the paycheck, the finished project, the big win. But the person you become is shaped by what happens when nobody is watching. It's built in the early mornings when you'd rather stay at bed. It's built in the conversations where you chose patience over pride. It's built when you keep your word, even if nobody would know you broke it. Character isn't something you turn on when the spotlight finds you. It's something you build in quiet. So this week, don't chase perfection, chase consistency. Make one promise to yourself and keep it. Read the chapter, take a walk, make a phone call, pray, journal, lift weight, apologize, encourage someone. Whatever it is, do it because that's who you're becoming and not because someone is keeping score. The strongest men aren't the ones who never struggle. They're the ones who keep showing up day after day, refusing to let setbacks write the final chapter of their story. Manspace Nation, keep growing, keep leading, and keep showing up. And remember, the man you become tomorrow is built by the choices you make today. Until next time. Wow, that was really, really powerful. Manspace Nation, before you go on with your day, ask yourself one simple question. Who am I becoming? Not because of all that you've accomplished, but because of the choices you're making when no one is watching. That was very key in that video, because every decision, every habit, every moment of integrity is another brick in that foundation that's your character. Remember, your legacy is not defined by a single great moment. It's built by thousands of ordinary moments. Those little moments is when you choose discipline over comfort, courage over fear, and purpose over convenience. Just keep building it, one choice, one day, one moment at a time. You know what? It's only your future that's watching you. So, Manspace Nation, you know what happens every Monday night on WTMSTV.com. You can catch the latest episode 2 days early before it gets released to the rest of the world. Season 7, we're well into it. Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on WTMSTV.com. And then on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, it's Throwback Thursdays with back-to-back episodes of the Manspace I'm stumbling over my own show. The Manspace Podcast, Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Throwback Thursdays, WTMSTV.com. Make sure you go to the manspacepodcast.com. Pick up the book, Russ and Company, Freshman Year. Book 1 is out now. It's there. It's available. It'll take you back to the Amazon link when you go on there. Hey, check out the book and let us know. I mean, let us know your feedback once you get the book. And with that said, Manspace Nation, my co-host is not here today. He's dealing with some family issues. So I'll say his line for him. We are out of here.
No gimmicks, just game that mature in sight. They shine like the city on a Friday night. Man talk, real talk, that's the way that you bless. Giving knowledge and some laughs in the same finesse. From life goals to the jokes that hit. They the tag team champs, yeah, legit with the wit. So pull up a chair, let the stress digest. From the beat drops, you know the